What is up, everybody? It's your boy Shazwi, and welcome back to another video, Shazwi gang. How is everybody doing? I'm doing all right. If you're new to this channel and you're clicking on me for the very first time, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also turn that post notification button so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. With that being said, let's get straight into today's content. Let's go, everybody. So how is everybody doing today? I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. It's just I'm a bit sick still. My sinuses are still acting up, so excuse me if I cough or sneeze or whatever during this video. It's been insane. I think it's apparently spring might be coming early this year, as the groundhog says. So yeah, I think it's the change in weather. I've talked to a few people who said they're experiencing the same thing. They've been sneezing or coughing or whatever. So yeah, I'm someone who definitely reacts to pollen, especially oakwood pollen, which is very common here in Mississippi. So yeah, it's been a little tough, but I'm getting through it. I'm still good though. So I've had a good day, and I wanted to do this video for you guys. I'm so sorry I didn't post yesterday. If any of you were looking forward to a video, it just kept being taken down, and the NFL were like, oh, we don't want you to use our content. So I guess it didn't work out, but it's okay. I guess some people can get away with it and some people can't. I guess YouTube is just very selective with that. Oh well. So I mean, I'm not even making money off this channel, but oh well, let me push that to the side. So today I'm going to be basically telling you guys the 5 best cartoons of all time. I'm going to be telling you guys basically rating the 5 best cartoons of all time from 5th to the 1st, so in ascending order. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. So cartoons are obviously big. Everyone loves cartoons, in any sort of animation in general, whether you're talking about regular cartoons we grew up watching on TV, or we're talking about anime, which is huge right now, and it's been big for some time, but especially right now it's a really big thing. Or if you're talking about just regular Adult Swim type of content, like Boondocks, whatever. Any sort of animations, even animated movies like Frozen or Shrek, like animations are huge, and they are it's visual content that transcends all ages, all backgrounds. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, everyone enjoys cartoons. And ever since TVs were introduced in the 1950s, cartoons became a staple in people's households. It didn't matter how rich or poor you were exposed to some sort of cartoons, unless you're Mormon or something that's actually not allowed. But either way, everyone was exposed to some kind of cartoons growing up, whether it's Tom and Jerry or Johnny Bravo or the Rascals or Mickey Mouse kind of stuff. Any sort of cartoons in whatever era you grew up in, and I like how these cartoons are recycled over time. And yeah, so today basically I wanted to rate the 5 best cartoons of all time. In my opinion, this list was very hard to put, and there's so many cartoons that I love that I still watch today, but I thought these cartoons, out of all the cartoons I've ever watched, all the animations, they really stand out, and they're the ones that I absolutely enjoy and I wouldn't replace for anything. But I will give honorable mentions as well, just like Tom and Jerry, just like Dexter's Laboratory. All of these, I love all of these cartoons, and I did these so much. We all grew up, in my opinion, I think, 90s / early 2000s cartoons, so cartoons that came out between 1990 to 2010, those cartoons, I feel like those generational cartoons were the best cartoons. I personally think I grew up with the best animations ever, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm gonna review today. So let's get into it. Let's start with number 5. So I actually have the 5 cartoons here, and I actually didn't put an order in my head. I already know which the top 2 are, but for the bottom 3, I'm not sure. So for the bottom 3, I think at the bottom I will put, ooh, this is tough, but I think I'll put the Powerpuff Girls. Okay. So the Powerpuff Girls come in at number 5. So the Powerpuff Girls, it was an idea developed in 1992. It's a Cartoon Network show. For those of you who have never watched the Powerpuff Girls, and I'm absolutely shocked if you haven't, it's a cartoon that came out a while back. It first debuted in 1998, the year I was born. You see, I told you the best cartoons came out with us, with my generation, okay? I grew up absolutely watching the show. I always loved the show, and for a period of time, it was my favorite cartoon, I think I've watched pretty much every episode, at least of the original, Powerpuff Girls, not the new one that's out now, that's rubbish, but, the proper, old one, loved it. It's about these three little girls who are created by, this guy called Professor Utonium, who's basically their dad, but he's the scientist, gets Chemical X and, puts stuff together and creates these three little girls who have superpowers and save the day. And they're and the three of them are so different, but they're so pure and they're so heroic and just powerful. And, it's such a really nice cartoon. There's so many superhero cartoons out there and superhero shows. But this cartoon for me always stood out. Excuse me. Yeah, basically getting some tea in my system. I also took a bit of tablets, so trying to get through this. But yeah, I've always loved the Powerpuff Girls. They're always so good. I mean, the show also did really well, you know what I mean? Everyone knows the Powerpuff Girls. The series has been nominated for 6 Emmy Awards, 9 Annie Awards, and the Kids' Choice Award. And in total, they won 4 awards over time. And, it's generally received positive reviews. It's an amazing show. I absolutely love the Powerpuff Girls. So yeah, so at number 5 is the Powerpuff Girls. There is really not much more to say. If you have not watched the show, I highly, highly recommend you watch it because it's amazing. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Oh, these sinuses are intense. But I know the medicine is gonna kick in quick. Okay, so number 5 is Powerpuff Girls. And number 4, I would say Samurai Jack. Yes, I'll be back like Samurai Jack. Whoop-pow! Long ago in a distant land, I, Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness, unleashed an unspeakable evil. But Aku, wielding a magic sword, stepped forward to oppose me. Tin, 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 before the railroad was stuck, I tore open a portal in time and fluffed them into the future. Amazing. I still remember at least most of the intro, and I'll be back like Samurai Jack. Oh, wow. So, I mean, who doesn't know Samurai Jack? Samurai Jack was iconic. It was incredible. Show. For those of you who don't know it, Samurai Jack is basically, it's an American cartoon, but it's basically about, Chinese, it's about this Chinese guy, just Chinese samurai called Samurai Jack, who's basically, he is a prince who comes from, he lives in Imperial China, I guess, long back in one of those dynasties. And so what happens is that, there's this very evil dark force called Aku who attacks his home for the second time. And when it attacks, it decimates where he comes from, and eventually he confronts Aku, this, dark giant, demonic force. And basically, before he's about to kill Aku, Aku quickly summons a portal because, he's this demonic magical being, so he has a lot of powers and a lot of tricks up his sleeves. The best way to describe Aku is he's like Loki. He's very much, Loki, in that he has a lot of magic, a lot of tricks up his sleeves. So he opens a portal and puts Jack through it. And pretty much throughout the show, Jack travels through all of, multiple different worlds, but pretty much all in the future. So he meets aliens, robots, he meets so many people along the way, enemies and foes. Sorry, friends and foes, enemies, whatever it is. And pretty much all in the quest to finally defeat Aku at all times. what makes the show incredible was the 5th season. So there were initially 4 seasons, and the show ended for some time. So basically, yeah, it ran for about 4 seasons since like 2001. So from 2001 to 2004, a season a year, and then since 2004 it stopped, and then in 2017 they released the 5th season, which was incredible, by the way. And the 5th season was so vastly different from the previous seasons. It's where, you know, Samurai is, you know, older. During this time he's pretty much sort of lost against Taku, or he's tired, or he's just living his life. He still wants to defeat Taku, but it seems like he's, you know, less motivated to do so. He just feels defeated. But fortunately he does end up defeating, you know, Aku, and Aku even sends these, you know, minions, these daughters, to go fight for him, but he defeats them, you know, defeats Aku's, you know, kids or whatever. But unfortunately his girlfriend, or the person who sort of he fell in love with ish, dies, you know, and just that ending was insane. But yeah, it's an incredible show. You know, just very heartwarming, just seeing this guy who, like, Jack is literally the most pure character ever, and he's someone who's so heroic and brave, and was a gentle soul to all who he came across, you know. And I know this is a fake character, but you know, he was a hero. You know, he was like my hero. You know, I always looked up to Samurai Jack. Like, he was just so pure and so benevolent, and just this someone who stood for righteousness. And you know, he's kind of like Wonder Woman in a way. He's just so pure and so set on being this good guy, and you know, doing what's right for the, you know, common good. And incredible, you know, samurai, you know, very dedicated to the sword, to the samurai code, and that's what he was. So yeah, absolutely love Samurai Jack. Definitely deserves to be in the top 5 of all time. Incredible show. Then at number 3, I would put, this is a little tough, but I would put Boondocks. I am the soul that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made the lady sing the blues. I'm the spot that makes your eye damn bright. There's the spot that lights the God so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in the rocks, the bullet in the gun, in the flow that let you know you call your brother son. The story that was to come, the promise that was to done, the animal and the soldier till the war was won. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Boondocks is literally like one of the best shows, period. Not just animations, but like one of the best shows ever, you know, of like everything. It's incredible. Boondocks is an incredible show. So for those of you who do not know what Boondocks is, when did the show come out actually? In like 2008, right? Let's see. Yeah, it came out like in 2005 actually. Anyway, so Boondocks is basically a show about 3 people. So you have brothers Riley and Yui. Riley is 8, Yui is 10, and then you have their grandfather, granddad, who, you know, he's of course famous as Granddad. Robert Jebediah Freeman is his actual name, but they just call him Granddad. And basically, they moved from Chicago all the way to the suburbs of Illinois to this place called Woodcrest, which is like mostly white sort of area, sort of those, you know, rich suburbs. So basically, they end up moving in the house. They acquire to a neighborhood because they want to leave Chicago where there's like violence, and you know, the granddad is just tired of staying there. And basically, throughout the show, we get to the show, you know, covers so many different topics. It's very political, you know, and what I loved about the show the most was not only is it funny, but it was very dramatic and very serious, in that you have, this show literally defined woke. It was the first, like, Huey Freeman is the first woke like character I've ever seen in a show, especially in a cartoon. So wise beyond his years, and to see the show talk about really deep topics like the Illuminati and 9/11 and go into sort of deep things. And this show literally had no limits, had no boundaries. They literally could talk about anything. Kind of like how, you know, on South Park, how they diss everybody. It was kind of like with Boondocks, but they would sort of talk about everything and be blunt about it. Regina King did an incredible job voicing Riley and Yui. Great cast. Unfortunately, the man who played Granddad I feel John Witherspoon, unfortunately, he passed away late last year in October. May so rest in peace. But this show was incredible. I loved it. And I'm happy to say that actually last year in September, HBO announced that they'll be bringing the show back for 2 more seasons. So I think that will be season 5 and season 6. Hopefully they will make even more seasons after that. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they'll change it up or if they'll be older. I have no idea, but it's an incredible show. Huey Freeman is like my hero. You know, he's like sort of like the modern day Malcolm X / Martin Luther King / whatever, any sort of civil rights person you could think of, but it's more modern because, you know, he's, you know, in this different world, and he's someone who's just so smart, and also, you know, he can fight. And this show is just so funny. Like, it makes fun of so many celebrities, whether it's Snoop Dogg, whether it's Whitney Houston, and it's funny, it's smart. The writing is so intelligent, incredible. I love the show. It's incredible. And shout out to Aaron McGruder, who created the show, because he is a motherfucking G for putting this together. It's amazing. It goes into colorism. It goes into it's so funny. I love it. I just love Boondocks. There's nothing to not love about it. It's amazing. So yeah, so it ran from like 2005 2008, and then there was a 4th season that came out in 2014, and then it ended since then. But I'm happy the show is coming back. So I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing how it's gonna be. And then at number 2 and number 2 is Bakugan Battle Brawlers. The odds are stacked against you. Back against the wall. Gotta give it your all. This is the final stand. The power's in your hands. 2 worlds collide. On the inside. You gotta fight for what's right before it's gone. Gone. This is Bakugan. Oh my gosh, Bakugan was literally, I was obsessed with this show. Like, this show at one point was literally my life. It was my life. Like, I'm not even playing. I'm not playing. I ain't playing. The show was incredible. Came out in like 2007 or 8. I remember at one time the show, like, everyone at my school, you know, I was like around 4th, 5th, 6th grade, everyone was obsessed with the show at school too, and we all had our Bakugan, like, you know, toys, and we had the cards, and there was a video game on PlayStation, played that. It was amazing, you know. So for those of you who don't know what Bakugan Battle Brawlers is, so Bakugan is basically a Japanese Canadian cartoon, and it's basically, I guess it could count as an anime, or maybe it's not, I don't know. But it's basically this cartoon about a world in another dimension called Vestroia. And in Vestroia, there are all of these living creatures called Bakugans, which are like monsters. And you can have different kinds of Bakugans, and they live in 6 main worlds. So you have Bakugan, you have Ventus Bakugan, which is wind attribute, you have Darkus, which is dark, you have Chaos, which is light, Subterra is earth, and then lastly you have Pyrus, which is the fire element. Oh, and then we have Aquas, which is water. So what happens is that something goes wrong in Vestroia, whereby these two one Bakugan called Naga, which was powerless, which is like an off-breed albino-looking Paris thing, basically merges with one of the 2 cores of Vestroia, merges with the Silent Core, because there are 2 cores that maintain the balance of Vestroia. The Infinity Core, which is positive, then the Silent Core, which is negative, and they balance each other out. Naga absorbed the Silent Core and took its power, and that made Vestroia collapse. And then Vestroia mixes in with Earth, and then that becomes the game Bakugan. So kids, you know, teenagers all over the world they create this game called Bakugan, and they have these cards and the actual Bakugan. But what people don't realize is that these Bakugan are actual monsters. They're actual, like, creatures from another world. And as the show goes on, Vestroia gets more and more entangled with the Earth, and it threatens to destroy the Earth, this merging that goes on. So it's up to the main characters of the show. The main character is Dan Kuso and his Bakugan, which is Drago, and then him and his other friends, you know, we got Shun, you know, the ninja, and, you know, we got Alice, Runo, Marucho, Julie, So these are the main characters, and we see how they maneuver through this world of competitive Bakugan playing. But at the same time, it's also like a serious issue because it's like there's a battle going on. So yeah, so there were 4 seasons of the show that happened. The first season is obviously the best. Bakugan Battle Bros. It started out really good. The next season, second season, New Vestra, was also really good. I enjoyed that. But ever since then, the show really went down and I lost interest. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't like the fact that they kept changing the Bakugans, and it was unfair that, you know, Dan was the only person who kept his Bakugan, but everyone else has changed. It was just stupid at that point. And you know, it's hard to like a show when the original chemistry is gone, and I just didn't like the direction the show was going in. I could see what they wanted to do. It could have worked had they kept the same people and just upgraded them too, and not just Dan and Drago. So yeah, that's where it fell off for me. So that was an incredible show. So drum roll please for the #1 show. Literally the best cartoon of all time. Argue with me. You can argue with the clouds. You can take it to your mamas. You can take it to your mama. You can take it to your father. You can take it to whoever, your sad chick. I don't care. Okay? Because this is literally the best cartoon of all time. If you have not watched the show, you're uncultured. There's something wrong with you. Because this show is literally the best show of all time. Ever. So, Avatar The Last Airbender is a show that came out in 2005, around from 2005 to 2008. It's a Nickelodeon show, American show, and it's basically a show about a world in which there are 4 main nations, or, you know, geographical regions, and these regions are named after the 4 elements of the earth. So you've got air, fire, earth, and water. So you got the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, the 4 air temples, and the 2 water tribes. And so basically the world lives in harmony with each other, and Katara, one of the main characters, narrates the intro of the show. Long ago, the 4 nations lived in harmony, but everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, which is literally what happened. The Fire Nation attacked and the Fire Lord Sozin. There's a lot that happens in this show, but basically Aang, who's the Avatar, who's the most powerful individual in the world, the only individual who can, in each cycle, is allowed to manipulate all 4 elements at the same time, and is the bridge between the physical world and the spiritual world. It basically saves the day and has a happy ending. There's also a sequel to the show Legend of Korra, which is okay. It's good, but definitely doesn't live up to the spectacularness and amazingness of the original show. And I'm happy that they're making a Netflix version of this that should be coming out, if not this year, then maybe next year. But it's an incredible show, and you know, the show did super well. Yeah, it was nominated for and it won 5 Annie Awards, a Genesis Award, a Primetime Emmy Award, a Peabody Award, all prestigious awards. And it still to this day has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's how you know it's real good, because reviews are on point, it's on point. And the show has a lot of, you know, influences. It brings in Chinese martial arts and other East and South Asian elements to it, and also a lot of Native American / Inuit and New World societies are put in there. Just influences from different cultures around the world, but primarily East and South Asia, and then Native American cultures from North America. But yeah, so it's a really great show. It's incredible. You know, the characters are really good. There's character development. There's, you know, it's an adventure. There's a bit of comedy here and there, love, romance, and just, you know, it's beautiful. It's a great show. But yeah, there's not much more to say. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And please be sure to comment down below and tell me what are your favorite cartoons that you grew up with, or your favorite cartoons now. Let me know what's your top 10 or top 5. Love you guys so much. Shazzy Gang, stay tuned for the very next video, and I am clear. Bye!